All right, welcome to today's webinar, everybody. Today, we're going to be calling this the double dip session. And this is going to cover why some agents get paid multiple times on one transaction without more closings, more listings, or having to spend more money in marketing. At the end of the day, the whole goal is for you guys to be able to implement this into your business. And so I'll be making this an interactive presentation today. All I ask for is any questions, please feel free to throw them in the comments. I make this joke every time, but obviously I can't see you guys. You guys could see me and hear me. So please just make me feel like I'm not going crazy by interacting in the comment section. This includes when I ask for engagement or if there's any questions, please just throw them in the comments. I promise I won't bite. Now, before I jump into this today, just wanted to see by a show of hands if you guys could put the number 3 in the comments if you are a licensed real estate agent. Number 3 in the comments if you are a licensed realtor. And if you're not a licensed realtor, let's put the number 4 in the comments. Number 3 if you are, number 4 if you are not, and maybe not yet. Cool. And just to set the expectation, today's session of this webinar is to go through high overview levels. It's not meant to go into full explanation or detail of the strategy. Those are the things I do inside my agent investors community. What my goal is here today is to bring awareness to this strategy to hopefully start getting the gears moving in the right direction. And so, again, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to fire away. All right, this was killing me. If you guys have not recognized yet, my hat's on forwards. So I've got to flip it on backwards now because I go investment mode as a real estate investor and professional. This is another one of my slides. It's a cheesy joke. I apologize. But I also just want to clarify I am a licensed real estate agent in Arizona with Real Broker. I'm also a real estate investor primarily that wholesales, flips, buys rentals, lends money, all that fun stuff. And so that's what this is coming from perspective wise. Everything I'm teaching is above board. It is with legal documentation. It is in the form of wholesaling, potentially through double closing, transactional funding, going out there and flipping, all depending on where you're at in the journey. And so this is all above board, making sure you guys understand this is the legal way of doing it. Not that there's like an illegal way, but the ways of off market, the ways of direct to seller are just not what they used to be. It's not as easy as it sounds. It's not as cheap as it could be or as it used to be. And everything that we do on market with realtors is not only free, but it doesn't require too much bandwidth, especially if you have your real estate license. And so let's get right into the call outs. Why most agents won't actually scale a business. Well, the hard truth here and the hard conversation for me to have, especially as we start this webinar off just right from the start with some fire, there's a lot of issues. And the biggest one that I could say just in one sentence is that most agents are capped and they sometimes don't even realize it. I don't want to make this like a full blown story time session about my experience, but what I found was when I started talking to my brokers, they weren't really keen on me going and being an investor. And so the issues that I found as a realtor that was curious about the investment side was having brokerage splits that sometimes weren't favorable, having transaction fees where I felt like I was getting nickel and dimed, going to brokerages that had monthly costs or even including expense like lead generation, having an actual yearly cap. And then this one kind of hit me the hardest, which was outdated training. If you feel like any of this has just like resonated with you or just starting off like this is like making sense, put the number 5 in the comments. If you are maybe at a brokerage that you feel the same way, and it's okay, this isn't being published anywhere. I'm not going to go tell anybody. But if you feel like the brokerage splits are messing you up, transactional fees, monthly costs or expense, yearly cap with your brokerage, or just outdated training, if you feel like any of that is hitting, put the number 5 in the comments. If not, put the number 6. We'll go through it together today. And if, yeah, you put 6, that is awesome. That means that you are in the right rooms. That means you are growing. That means that these are not your struggles yet. And so when I say most agents are capped and they don't realize it, some of the things that I'm referring to are this. Most agents sometimes don't even realize that one check is all that they're taught to get in a transaction. You don't realize that you could get paid twice by just representing yourself. And so, unfortunately, nobody teaches agents how to look at deals like investors. What I found in my experience was that my brokers and team leads, and even real estate school for that matter, were always telling me to go out there and try to just find more buyers and sellers. It wasn't all that common, especially when I first started to go and work with investors, let alone wholesale properties. And so, what I found after that was that the system rewards structure and strategy, not always volume. And that's okay. That one right there is the least important, in my opinion. It was just mostly us having to realize that I could actually be the investor in the transaction. And sometimes I had to go against the grain of what my brokers wanted me to do. And so most agents aren't wrong. They're just operating under assumptions that they were never taught to question. And so for everyone that put 6 in the comments, hopefully that was just another way of looking at it to where you could actually realize maybe you're not doing the double dip strategy yet. And that might even be one of the limitations that your brokerage or team lead is not providing to you. Doesn't mean they're bad people. Doesn't mean that they're inexperienced. It just means that they may not specialize in investment deals, which may not be what you are actually trying to do. You want to do investment deals, you want to be the client, and you're tired of chasing outdated leads. So we're going to cover what the double dip method is, high level overview today. Rather than just representing the buyer in the transaction, you are the buyer. You request the compensation from the seller when you present your offer to the listing agent. And I'll just pause right there for a quick second. This means that we are not off market. I am not going to a seller directly and charging them a commission and wholesaling. I am representing myself, Ryan Zolin, 34 Holdings LLC, as a buyer. Now, Ryan Zolin, 34 Holdings LLC, being the buyer, and Ryan Zolin, the realtor, are allowed to both be separate parties in the transaction. But because I'm not going to the seller directly, I'm just representing myself on market deals. The new compensation updates at the end of 2024 were that we have to request compensation. It is no longer advertised publicly what the realtor will get in the transaction, which I'm not opposed to. It actually made this a lot easier. And now, once we get this property under contract, where I am the realtor representing the buyer, who is also myself, I then wholesale the transaction to an end buyer, which allows me to get paid twice on the deal. Once that is all done, and once you're through the compensation with the seller, and then obviously you're able to get paid again by the buyer. I'll show you guys settlement sheets here in just a minute. If this is making sense, put the number 7 in the comments. If I'm losing you a little bit, put the number 8. It's okay if I am. Number 7, if this is making sense. Number 8, if not. Cool. I like to see the number 7. And so, again, just 3 bullet points. It's the same deal, paid twice, different roles, and my double dip strategy. I've seen the double dip strategy called a few different things online, and I have to apologize. I just have to stick with it. I've been calling it this strategy for almost 6 years now. I know some people say double dipping is allowing the listing agent to represent both sides. That is not what I'm saying to do here. I represent myself as the realtor and as the buyer in the same transaction, and I get paid twice. And so, what double dip actually means, it's not doing anything sketchy. Okay. Every now and then, I have some people that think these are like the most complex transactions. They think that it's illegal. They think that it's sketchy. It's just not doing the right thing. It's not that at all. In fact, if we want to put a label on it, it's just capitalism. A lot of people in this business think that you could just go unrepresented or let the listing agent represent both sides to get the deal done. The hard truth there is yes, you could, but you could also make more money just by having the real estate license as a tool on the tool belt. And so it's about understanding how one real estate transaction can include multiple legitimate legal roles and how most agents are only ever taught to participate in one, either being the buyer or the seller's agent. And so when you structure these correctly, these roles can exist in the same deal and be compensated separately on the same settlement sheet. Or if it is a double closing with transactional funding, it would be A to B, B to C, double close. And that's stuff that I'll go further in depth inside of my agent investors community. So if you guys aren't already in there, that's the place where I go further in depth. Now, I want to be vulnerable. I want to be transparent. I've got a bunch of deal examples and stuff I'll go through here with you guys. Last year, I only did the double dip on 33% of my transactions. So on 66% of them, I did not get paid a commission. I just got the wholesale assignment fee. I put that as just truthful, like transparency, because I've had some people in the past be like, Ryan, I want to look up the numbers and I want to see all the statistics. I'll show you all the addresses. I'll show you all the 33%. I've got nothing to hide there. But I can't get up here and tell you that every single deal I do, I get paid a commission. On 33% of them last year, I did. However, that brought in an extra $140,000 in commission where I didn't have to leave my house. I was sitting right here. I just represented myself in the transaction and got paid twice. And so the 3 ways that this is done is one, in agent compensation. As a licensed agent, you could be compensated for representing the buyer in the transaction, just like a traditional on market deal. I get investor profit on the same transaction in the form of an assignment fee, where I'm going and using equitable interest to wholesale the contract to an end buyer. And I'm doing this, the best part of all, with legal documents, state issued contracts, assignment contracts, double closing purchase agreements. And I'm doing this above board, even through my brokerage, which is why my broker ends up liking me too. I'm doing more transactions than I would if I was just a realtor that didn't do much volume. So I'm doing it all above board. Everyone's on the same page. And even if you were to, for whatever reason, get a complaint, it won't make it that far because everything you're doing is disclosed. And so those are my three things that I combine on how I actually do the double dip strategy and what this actually means as a whole. All right. So I apologize. This is like super bright on my screen. I don't know if it's the same way for you. I'll zoom in just a second, but this is a settlement sheet. I've got three different examples I'll go through today just so you guys could see. The first one here, let's zoom in on the first one. This is an $8,700 commission that was paid to us as the buyer's agent ran through my brokerage. Now, I'm using this as a little bit of an older example because I want to show what's truly possible on some of like the higher end deals. So when you see stuff like this, I just want to be clear this was like 2 years ago. This isn't something that's super recent, but an $8,700 commission on one transaction is a lot of money that most people would just be happy with getting by itself. I believe this is the fee that most people would like to see because when you see numbers like this, it really opens your eyes that you don't need to go and do that much volume in transactions, especially when double dipping. When you go and add in a commission, 1, 2, 3% or more on top of an assignment fee, this one transaction could be the game changer, the catalyst, the opportunity that was given to you. And I want this to be the eye opener for all of us. If this is a kind of deal that would like completely change your life, put the number 8 in the comments. This deal paid out just under 69,000. It was a $60,000 assignment and an $8,700 commission. Again, full transparency, my broker was a 90-10 split. So my broker took $870. I walked away with like high 7,800 bucks, whatever it was, $7,600. So 68,000 on one transaction. This was 2110 East Grant Road in Tucson, Arizona. You're more than welcome to look it up. Let's show another one. These are the average deal size that I see a little bit more often. It's somewhere between 5, 10, $15,000, and this is on one transaction wholesaling. On the commission side, it's typically somewhere between 1 to 2% on average because we're not getting a full 2.5, 3, 4% or more because most of the offers we're sending are low. So in this case, I just wanted to show another example. This was one where we got a $5,000 assignment and a $6,300 commission. So you can see even on the other side of the scale, there's some transactions that will actually pay you more in commission than on the assignment. The point I want to drive home isn't just that opportunity is everywhere on the MLS. The point I want to drive home is that one transaction, just by adding the double dip strategy, could literally double your income. For those that aren't using their license or those that aren't licensed yet, hopefully by the end of this, you start considering using your license in a different way or getting a license if you don't already have one because this one transaction turned what could have been a $5,000 wholesale for the average investor into a twice as much payday, making over $10,000 on this one deal. And here's another one. This is a deal where we got a $2,500 assignment. Again, nothing sexy, nothing crazy, but a $2,500 assignment with a just over $5,000 commission to us. And you'll see even in these examples that on some of the deals, we get paid less than the listing agent. Some of them we get paid more. There really is no right or wrong answer. I just want to show that every single one of these deals, which is, I don't know the math, 80 to $100,000 in wholesale and commission combined, this didn't cost me any money in marketing. These are the deals that you could go and do from the comfort of your own home without even having to go and view the property, just from having a real estate license in that state. And there's a whole other list of things that are beneficial to having a license, like referral fees, listing your own flips, utilizing the commission even as leverage to possibly justify a lower purchase price. These are all strategies that I teach in my community. And so these are the things that I want people to take away from as they see these settlement sheets. These are real deals, real examples, real settlement sheets. And I provide all the addresses for people to see. That's what I've been considering if it's an advantage to get licensed or not. Gage, that's a great question. I personally believe that it will be required in the near future anyway. If you don't already have a license, you'll most likely need one to wholesale. Just where the signs of regulations going, wholesaling is going to require a license to start. There's going to be more disclosures. There's going to be more hoops to jump through, which is most likely going to be double closing, transactional funding, wholetailing, as opposed to just wholesaling black and white like this. And there really is no right or wrong answer. If you had to ask me my personal preference, I actually like the double closing transactional lending side more. I also like the option of going and having licensing and disclosures required. It kind of eliminates the conversation with just the people that watch a few YouTube videos that don't know exactly how to take action the right way. So I'm pro regulation, pro licensing, pro requiring whatever steps to jump through. And double closing transactional funding is usually a state issue, a broker issue. I say issue, it's more of like a requirement. So those are the things just to keep in mind. There is no right or wrong answer. I'm in Ohio and the wholesale disclosure is required starting March 3rd. Yeah, that sounds right. Most of these states are pushing towards it. Without going too far off topic today, Arizona just proposed a bill that is going to require us to not wholesale. And I don't think it'll pass at all. But there's rules changing every day. And the only way I'll be able to get around that is double closing with transactional lending. So let's talk about why most agents never see these deals. Just to make sure we're on the same page, hopefully none of this is taken like as if I'm talking directly to you in a bad way. Most agents aren't failing because they lack effort or intelligence. If anyone here lacks like effort or intelligence, it's me. I was the guy that gave up on being a realtor with getting all of those trophies that don't mean anything because I thought that being a realtor was something that it wasn't. I didn't want to go and show homes on the nights and weekends anymore. I didn't want to do open houses. I didn't want to keep spending money on lead generation websites that were just not giving me any confidence. And so, what it led me to the path of was actually having really hard conversations with mentors, with my business partner, with my broker, with my family, with God, with all these things combined to realize that what I was supposed to do was actually be an investor. That's what I was put on this earth to do. It's to solve problems. And then I found that as I was able to solve it, I made a promise to the man upstairs that if I was able to figure this out, I was going to give back 10x more than what I have ever received. And I've done extremely well in the real estate investing side. So I'm indebted to that for a very long time. And it's a pleasure to be here. I believe that there's no one else that cares more about helping and providing the blueprint to others than me. And I think part of that is also due to my experiences where it just did not work out the way that I wanted it to. I made bad investments. I trusted the wrong people, and it led me down a path of just failure. And so once I figured it out, I put stuff together like this, and hopefully you guys get value as I'm doing it too. I see a couple questions. I'll answer them here in just a second. So again, most agents aren't failing from lack of effort or lack of intelligence. They're simply operating inside a system that was never designed to show them how to think like investors, the real estate schools, the brokers, the team leads, etc. When you're trained to chase leads, avoid investor analysis and feedback, and rely on marketing heavy CRMs and lead generation resources, these opportunities stay invisible, even though they're happening every day on the MLS. And while I'm getting up here talking MLS, today's topic is about the double dip. You could absolutely go off market and go direct to seller. But if you don't have at least 5 to 10 grand per month, I don't want to be the person to discourage you. I want to be the person that just keeps it real and sometimes says the things that you want to be told, but sometimes you don't want to hear it. You shouldn't go off market if you don't have a big budget. You shouldn't go off market unless you're going to join a team. On market and working with agents is the best approach to get started because we'll actually help you get into this business without spending tens of thousands of dollars at all, let alone per month. And so that's to start. And so, again, why most agents never see these deals? It's because they're trained to chase leads. I'm going to reset the numbers here. This first box is going to be the number one. The second box is going to be number two. The third box is going to be number three. If I'm saying anything here in these next three boxes that resonate with you, put the number. You can put multiple if any of this is resonating. Trained to chase leads, put the number one in the comments if this feels like you. Most agents are trained to chase listings and buyers, not analyze opportunities. This creates a constant marketing hamster wheel instead of predictable deal flow. You're taught to go chase leads, to spend money, to get buyers and sellers. The second box, not shown how to invest. This is brokerages where they don't teach you how the investment strategies actually work. They tell you investors are the bad guy, the bad girl. They're the person that just are not the friend, they're the foe. Once again, agents learn how investors think. And once they do, they stop chasing leads and they actually start controlling their outcomes. So if you feel like you just weren't taught how to be an investor or what investors think, put the number two in the comments. Three, we actually did a webinar on, I think 2 weeks ago. You don't have systems. Agents are taught systems and processes, but most often it's CRMs are built for marketing, not for deal analysis and actual customer relationship management, like what it said it's supposed to be. Most agents don't have any systems like where investors do. Investors use systems to automate follow up, underwrite deals, have better and faster decision making, to automate and delegate, and to actually scale the business rather than scale the marketing. And so put the number three in the comments if you feel like you were lacking systems that might not have been provided or taught to you on how to actually use them the right way. I completely feel the same. I am seeing a bunch of the numbers in the comments. I appreciate you guys. I cannot tell you how much, as I was putting this presentation together, it was like striking me just every single time. I was like, oof, like that's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good point. And so as I go through this, I try my best not to be like biased, like talking all highly of my own presentations. But this is probably one of my favorite topics to talk about because most people don't realize with a real estate license, you can add just an extra six figures to your bottom line without really having to do anything additional that you're already doing. It's adding one extra line to the paperwork, one extra piece of the process. And so let's talk about what the process is. This is the five-step process of doing the double dip workflow. This stuff for you guys, I want to bring awareness to what could be problems and then provide solutions to that scenario. So, number one, deal hunting. This is the same process as always. It doesn't matter what your approach is on market, filtering out properties. My team and my community uses an MLS cheat sheet. We actually code the MLS and we take properties, we put them into a spreadsheet so my team doesn't guess every day. They're going out there actually sniper approach, finding what the best deals are and contacting those realtors, not the sellers, the listing agents. If you don't have access to that because you're not in my community, that's okay. You can use the MLS if you're licensed, or you could use a software that is actually the same data. This could be like PropStream, Privy, Batch Leads, PropWire, anything along those lines. It's fine. I'm a little biased. I like my cheat sheet, but that's all personal preference. The second is we pick an approach, sniper versus shotgun. We pick either the shotgun sniper approach to send offers. I recommend sniper when first getting started. We finalize terms and negotiations where we actually negotiate them and we are representing ourselves as the buyer. And this is what sets us up for the double dip strategy. We get it under contract and send it to our buyer database, which is how we use our agent investors dispo processes, sending directly to end buyers. And we get feedback and assign that deal. And then, just like a traditional transaction for realtors to understand, we close on the deal double dip, which is on either the same settlement or it's on a B2C separate double close transaction. And we're able to go and make sure we get paid twice. Once as the realtor through the seller's proceeds, second as an investor, as a buyer with equitable interest wholesaling the property. And so that's the double dip deal workflow. I know it's not like super in depth, but this is an overview of it. If this is making sense, I don't know what number we're on. Just put the number nine in the comments. If this is making sense, put the number nine in the comments. If the light bulb's starting to go off or even flicker for that matter, put the number 10 in the comments. Light bulb starts to go off. Gears are starting to spin. I see the opportunity. Getting excited. Cool. Information is not the issue. The implementation, which I totally misspelled, I just realized, is understanding how the double dip works is the first step. The real challenge is executing it correctly, consistently, and compliantly in real transactions. Without the right systems, documentation, and guidance, most agents either hesitate to act or make avoidable mistakes, which is why seeing the structure alone is never enough. If your broker does not support this, please talk to them, make sure they understand how this all comes together. We've had people even join the community in the last 30 days that have had to talk to their broker to make sure they understand what their business model looks like and cross off a bunch of boxes to make sure they're doing it compliantly. So that way there is no issues. And that's why I focus with my team and with my community on implementation, not just information. Today, hopefully, it's at least getting the ball moving, gets you excited about what opportunities you have, and it gets the conversation started with your broker, maybe with my community, with the team you're on, Or maybe you're even similar to where we're at and you just need to add a few extra buttons into the business. And then all of a sudden you start making more money. And so our process is designed to remove guesswork by providing structure, systems, and real world guidance so that you're not trying to piece this together on your own after just seeing the few examples today. Our goal is to give you the blueprint and then help you implement it correctly. And so, just to highlight and make sure we're on the same page, seeing the structure does not equal being able to execute it on your own. I love you. I care about you. We're keeping it very real today. I did this strategy the first time on accident. For those that have heard this story before, I apologize. I don't mean to repeat myself, but I think majority here probably haven't. I ran out of money direct to seller. And so I went onto the MLS because I at least put together the pieces at this point, not having any money left, that on market motivation was different because they at least wanted to sell. And so I spent a month, the last month of money that I had saved in my account. After being in this business for 4 years, I just started sending a bunch of offers. My first month, I closed the deal for 30K. And I got a check from my broker at the time, Steve. And he was like, hey, or I guess it was his office manager. I want to make sure I give you guys the facts. Summer, the office manager for Steve, was like, hey, kiddo, what do you want me to do with the commission? I started freaking out. I was like, I'm going to jail. I didn't realize I just got a commission on this deal. What's going on? I called up Steve afterwards. And I talked to him. He's like, did you do the disclosures? Did you put yourself as the buyer's agent? Did you put the agency documentation in your offer? And at this point, it was advertised as commission that was going to be paid to a realtor representing the buyer anyway. And so I just accidentally fell into a deal and got 2.5% commission on top of a $30,000 assignment fee. That's what got the ball spinning for me. That's when I realized there's so much opportunity. And I don't want to take credit as the first guy that ever did this because I don't know if I was or not. But I was one of the first people in this industry that started to massively scale this specific model where I could get paid twice in the same transaction. And so now I really equate this to being your own realtor, like you were buying your own house. You wouldn't ask another realtor to represent you. You would either go unrepresented because there's a bidding war, or you would represent yourself and ask for commission and most likely apply that towards closing costs, down payment, or whatever, buying down the rate. In this case, again, just want to make sure we're clear. Seeing the structure does not equal being able to execute it on your own. You might be able to fall into it accidentally, like me, or you have structured what we provide to you, which gives you the exact blueprint on how to go and do this confidently and legally. So knowing it's possible does not equal knowing how to do it consistently or safely. Just knowing it's possible hopefully starts to shed the light that maybe you are having as dim at the moment, or just opportunities that you don't currently have. I was talking to someone last week that they're already doing over 100,000 a year in wholesale. They're a realtor and they didn't know they could add an extra six figures to the bottom line just by doing this one approach right here. And then, not to scare anybody, hopefully this isn't scary, it's just serious. One deal wrong can cost you tens of thousands of dollars and damage a reputation if you don't present it the right way. This could cost you money in earnest money. This could cost you money in legal fees. This could cost you money because you didn't disclose the right stuff. So please make sure if you're doing the double dip, you check it through your broker, through your title company, through an attorney, and then obviously those agent investors. I'm always here to help you too. Tam said you didn't have to pay the commission out of the 30K equitable interest. No, the seller was offering 2.5% commission on the MLS for a buyer that was brought. I got the 30K assignment from assigning it from me with equitable interest to an end buyer. I got my 30K. I was happy. The 2.5% was on top of the 30,000, and that's what broke my brain. That turned what was $300 in my bank account into about like 42, and the game started to change. So